rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. Rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. One more time. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
Wow. Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings. I'm the assistant minister here. I know I've been gone for 3 weeks, but I do belong here. And what did you think about that new version of that song? So the Bradfords have a lot of treats for you coming up over the next couple of years. Yeah, so also welcome everybody online. So we have got a really fully friendly house. You know what? It's really wonderful is that I was telling Reverend Karen, like, my God, all these people are here and they're all sitting towards the front, not towards the back, except for someone back there. Reverend Cheryl's in the house. So it's really wonderful. Oh, Reverend Millie's in the house. Oh, my gosh. Oh, wow. So yes, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I just want to welcome everybody to our spiritual home. And Reverend Karen rearranged the chair. She may want to say that to you as well, but she rearranged the seating this over the weekend, and she blessed every chair. We are moving forward, you guys. It is time for us to get back in the groove of our spiritual community. And so a lot of wonderful things are going to start unfolding over the next couple of months, and it's very, very exciting. One thing I do want to share with you real quick is that we're going to be putting something in the newsletter this week, and I'm also going to be reaching out to you. We are moving, I have my financial hat on right now. We are moving our tithing. We use Easy Tithe today, and we're actually going to be moving to a new system that's going to be cheaper for us to process the transactions. So we're working on getting all of the basics set up, and then once we get it all set up, then I'll be personally reaching out to everybody that has set up on Easy Tithe and things like that, and help you get completely set up on the new system. So it's just a win-win for all of us. It'll be easier for you, and it'll be cheaper for us. And I like that. So we come together every Sunday to remember the truth that we are a joy-filled, loving community, and that we are individualized expressions of God, whole, perfect, complete, just the way that we are. So before we get this service going, let's say our vision statement together. We are a joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God, as we learn and live the science of mind principles. And so it is. Can you tell I've been gone for a while? Can't even remember the words. All right, so that is it. So welcome. Please sit back. We've got a lot of wonderful things going on this morning, and so you're at the right place at the right time. And I'm going to turn it back over to Bradford.
So just take a deep breath. And we're going to get centered here.
I will make a quiet place within my mind.
I wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
Right here, right now, in the presence and the activity of Spirit, in this quiet place where the divine dwells, I know that this presence is the presence that is in charge this day. It is the force for peace and joy, love, happiness, harmony, health, abundance, celebration, wisdom, clarity, and so very much more. It is that power that lives in each of us. It is the exquisite expression of life. So I know as this service unfolds, it does so with that divine presence in charge. The Reverend Karen's message is divinely inspired. She is open and allows that to come to her and through her. It lifts us, it shifts us, and it allows us to see the world in a different viewpoint. I know that the music of the Bradfords always opens our heart and brings joy. So as this service unfolds, I give thanks. I give thanks knowing that everything is in divine right order, and so it is. This is from the Science of Mind textbook. There must come a time in our experience when we speak the conviction that is within us. This conviction of the spiritual universe in which we live is real and powerful. The light cannot be borrowed from another. Each of us has been furnished with a divine torch whose wick burns from the oil of the eternal and ever-renewing substance of faith in oneself and in others. We comprehend the infinite only to the degree that it expresses itself through us, becoming to us that which we believe it to be. So we daily practice in our meditations the realization of life. Infinite indwelling spirit within me, Almighty God within me, real substance within me, that which is truth within me. So just allow yourself to take a moment and feel that presence of the divine within you. So it is.
I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow, got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love. I've got the song that I sing, I can make Anytime I move my finger, lucky me, can't you see I'm in love? Life is a beautiful thing, as long as I hold the string. I'd be a silly so-and-so if I should ever let go. I've got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow, got the string around my finger. What a world, what a life, I'm in love. What a world, what a life, I'm in love.
Oh, that was great. I think that should be our forever song. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Bradford. Good morning. Oh, good morning. Be still my heart. It's so wonderful to see so many faces that haven't been here in a while, and to have the chairs rearranged in this brand new configuration that represents this day, this changing process of life, and the way we have transitioned ourselves into something brand new. So today, everything we're doing today is about transitions and change and blessing the holy newness that all of that brings in our lives. And, oh my goodness, we got a thing or two to do today. So have fun. I want you to have some good hearty fun. The title of my message this morning is, are you ready? May the force be with you. So you'll notice that that came up in the reading, and I love the way you connected that to the song, because Dr. Ernest Holmes, who founded this teaching, always emphasized that the greatest force in the universe is love. So let's not forget that. Let's just begin at the beginning with that impulse of love that stirs everything into motion and into being and into existence. And so we are setting the tone today. We are setting the tone for our future, because we have done so many things. We have all, look at us, we're all here, we all survived the pandemic, never before have a group of people globally have the experience that we've had that sequestered us for more than a year. And so today, I want you to be really clear here, we have been called to celebrate, and that's what we're going to do this day. Now, just to get a little business out of the way, you were invited to grab a color code when you came in the door. And the colors represent where you are, so we can be accountable for our own well-being and our own decisions, but that we can also communicate that to other people. So if you are wearing green, it is stating that you are really comfortable with no mask, and you don't need social distancing in your life, and it's okay to touch and hug you. And that is a sign. Isn't that a nice, easy way? So you know who, because not everybody's ready to be touched up, but the green people are.
Mark me down.
By the way, I've been told we ran out of green tags. So today, if you are wearing no tag or green, you are touchable and huggable, and do not, for the rest of us, do not be in a hurry to change that. The really sweet part of doing a color-coded thing is that we get to be in choice. But more than that, I think what's so cool about it, the more I thought about this was a great decision, the more I realized that it gives us this unique opportunity to practice respecting each other's differences. Because that's what we claim to be, right? We say it in the purpose statement every Sunday. We go, we honor all paths to God. We honor all paths, and I'm looking for us to find a broader way of really honoring each other's space. So there are people not wearing green. I'm not wearing green. You'll notice that. And yellow is that I'm still thinking it all through. That some days I am comfortable and I will hug you, but other days I feel like I need to distance myself a little bit. So I'm choosing how to do that as I go by go, or whatever. And red is for the people that are really clear. They are not ready to mingle and be touched, and they're asking that if you're going to be close to them, they need you to mask as well. And so I arranged the room in such a way that you're still able to distance. If social distancing is important to you, we completely honor and respect that, and I invite you to be public. Don't be embarrassed. Don't think your color needs to be different. In the same way that I'm short and my husband's tall, we fit together nicely anyhow, right? And that's a wonderful lesson that we can just expand as we continue to move through the days. We won't wear colors forever. What I suspect is that we will ease ourselves into, to where we're just comfortable doing our thing anyhow. And I'm grateful for that. We are honoring today these some significant rites of passage. I love ceremony and ritual, and there are some transitions and new beginnings happening right here in our community. And I'll start by saying, I'm just going to talk about you for a minute, Miss Tracy. Tracy Herrick has had a grueling 2 or 3 years because she was called to the School of Ministry. And Tracy's graduation from ministry school was in June, but because of COVID, they limited the number of people that were able to come. So I promised her that we would have a day to recognize that momentous accomplishment, and also a time where we can include her mother and her father who were unable to go to San Diego. By the way, I studied at the San Diego campus too, so I have a fondness in my heart for that campus. So we will be looking at that and honoring her today, along with several other things. And I wanted to just sort of speak to, it occurred to me how amazing it is that we're doing this on today, July 11th, because I was ordained 11 years ago on the 10th of July. I had my 10th anniversary for ordination. Now, the reason I tell you, well, first of all, that's a great accomplishment in our teaching, in our organization, because you don't get ordained just because you graduate. You still have a lot of work ahead of you after that happens. So the way our system is our educational system and the path to ministry works is that you spend your a number of years, and you get to choose in how fast or slow you move through that process. Is it still 2 to 5 years? Is that about what they recommend? Not more than 5 and not less than 2. And so you do that, and then if you do that, okay, you get to graduate. But then after that, there's a process that we call after that you take your exams. You have to, and if you pass the exams, you have earned the privilege to panel where a group of peers decide whether or not they think you have a ministerial consciousness. Don't be too afraid. We've all been through it. I rejoice in seeing that we have our full ministerial staff here today. We have Reverend Cheryl, Reverend Noli, Reverend Clyde, and myself representing you. I don't remember the last time we were all in the same room. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. And you all understand what I'm speaking about in that grueling process.
Amen.
We've been throwing them out every now and then. So I think you should do a recording for us so I can push a button. At my choice. Wouldn't that be fun? I could get an amen whenever I wanted. So anyhow, you take another job for Norman. We take that. You go to school and you pay all that money. You do all the grueling work and deal with all the fussy professors. Then you earn the privilege of taking the tests. And how many tests are there now? 14. Yeah. So they test you on all these different things we've had to study, which means you have to study everything that you've learned in the last few years. And then if you pass the test, you get the privilege of paneling. And if you pass the paneling, you are given a license that does not include being ordained. You then have to work your way another 3 years. You have to work, you have to have a letter of call, and then prove. You have 3 years' time to prove whether or not you really got it, and then you are ordained. right? So it's a long, drawn out process, and it's why we have such high respect for the people that, for those of us that wear the stoles. It's a really big honor to get that ordination. Now, speaking of ordination, the next person I wanted to talk about is, we're going to talk about you, Reverend Clyde. So Reverend Clyde came to us when he was just finishing school, and that was about 2015. Just in time for me to sort of tutor him. I say that loosely, you did it on your own, but to be his mentor, to get him through the exam process. So he tested pretty soon after you got here, I think. And then after that, you learn you passed the test, and he waited for that panel. And it's not until you have that oral panel that you get to use the REV in front of your name. So Tracy has graduated, but she's still got some road before we get to call her Rev. And we're rooting you on, girl. Yeah, rooting you on. And then he served here. We gave him a letter of call, and he served his 3 years. And last February, we went to a conference in Denver, Colorado. It travels, the conference. And Reverend Clyde passed his oral panel last February. So he is officially an ordained minister. But we have not had his formal ceremony because you know what happened within a few weeks of us getting back? We went on lockdown. And so we didn't even think about it. I'm happy to tell you, Clyde and I have sat recently, and we have scheduled the date. Save the date, mark your calendar, October 16th. It is a Saturday, and we will be joining together for a big celebration. And hopefully by then we won't care about colors anymore, and we'll have food, and we'll be back to a more normal fellowship after service and all of that. But we're gonna have a party. We're already planning the party, and I'm planning the formal part of the ceremony. So that's a really big event, very different than what you're going to see happen today. And I look forward to that. Congratulations, what a great accomplishment. Here's some other things that have happened in this year where, a lot has happened in a year. And we've been here every Sunday. We have been here from this sanctuary. A lot of churches did not film from their sanctuaries, but I was, thank you. I was insistent that would be an important, cohesive part of what we do, and that we do it with reverence and respectably, and we did, and I'm grateful. And I figured out I could also speak sitting down. I wasn't sure. That was another piece for me. I could not stand. It didn't feel right. It felt sacrilegious to stand and act like everything's okay. So I sat in a chair and spoke for many months.
I did marvelous.
Thank you. So, there are some other changes in status of people in our leadership team. For one, we brought in Judy Baker, who is a long-term licensed practitioner. She actually licensed in Denver, Colorado, at the Big Mile High Church, which is she knew some great people, and we acknowledged her.
She's famous.
Yes, and we acknowledged her at our annual meeting. But I wanted to show you that this is a big change that happened in a time where we couldn't celebrate her in a proper way. She's traveling right now, or I'd have her in here as well. And what she did was she achieved the gift of turning her license into an emeritus license. That means she never again, all of you other practitioners can be envious, she never again has to sit with me and prove how many continuing education units she got for the year and other things. So that is also a really prestigious accomplishment, and we give her that. And at the same time, that was all going on, our practitioner, Mark Reed, not only retired from his job, but he made a decision to retire his practitioner license after 12 years. So thank you so much for your service. We are grateful, and nobody prays quite like you do. We'll miss you in the ranks, but he's not going anywhere. He's working on a new book, and he'll probably want to do a little book sit around and have a little class around his book, a little workshop or something, or an ongoing book study, whatever your heart desires. We'd love to support you. And then finally, I wanted to acknowledge the person that has worked harder than anybody else, harder than me, definitely. And that's our board president, Ed Price. Put your phone down and get on it. So let me tell you a little bit about Mr. Ed. Oh, about Ed, President Ed. About President Ed. Ed somehow miraculously ended up on the board of trustees, and I think it was only a year when the dynamics changed and a couple of people retired at the same time, and we didn't have a president, and so we didn't have the order. There's usually a succession, and he graciously, though hesitantly, he graciously said yes and took on the gavel and the hat that goes with it. I guess. Do we have a hat? We don't have a hat. No gavel? I'll get you a gavel. You deserve a gavel. And so I want to tell you that when Ed stepped in, it's kind of like all new board members. It's like, well, what do you do on the board? And he immediately found his groove because of his skill in professionally. And he developed a marketing team, and the greatest gift he brought me was that he also made a formal marketing plan that I can put in the policies and procedures book, and we have something complete. But here's what he did that really exemplifies the character he brings. He saw that our website could be better, and he immediately jumped in, and he was part of designing our new website, and he continues to be the person we go to because of that. You're hooked with this for life. Whether or not you're on the board, you're stuck with us now. If we need changes or updates, Ed manages all of that for us. And then he kept asking me, what do you want? What do you want in terms of marketing? And I said, you know what I want? One day I was probably mad. I said, you know what I want? You know what we really need? We need a really decent brochure, something beautiful that looks professional, that will represent us. And he designed, and with the help of a graphic artist, and we had a lot of meetings and changed things. And so we now have a beautiful brochure. I won't spend too much time telling you about all the things that he's probably most proud of, the things he did the biggest, and that was in getting the building painted, the exterior of the building painted, which we did a year ago, June, in the middle of pandemic. Who thought so many amazing things would happen to us? But there was a lot of details regarding permits and dealing with the city, and the city didn't like any of our ideas, and there was so much back and forth, and he stood through it all. But then he rose again when it came time for us to get the roof and the air conditioning done. He had to coordinate 2 different contractors so that we could do the roof and the AC at the same time, and that he's still probably working out the kinks of that one.
Walkthrough is this week.
Walkthrough is this week. We just thank you so much. Yes, we just thank you so much. And so if you picked up the lyrics to the song, we have a song we only do on very special occasions. And here.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
First.
We do it after. Yeah. We want to sing to you.
Oh, we want to sing first.
Yeah.
Ready? Okay, wait. So if you can stand, if you choose to stand, if you could stand and sing the song with us, and put your hands up like this.
Oh, yes. It's so cool.
Loving energy.
Yeah.
That we love him. And the words to the song is on the slide.
Oh, yeah, I have the slides. We did it all.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. One more time. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And is a blessing to the world.
I was like, is Karen gonna let me talk? So we are gifting him with this anchor from the center. And I just want to make a couple of comments. One, and this is so important because if you can just visualize, and not a storm in a bad way, but our boat, Center West Valley for Center for Spiritual Living, riding all of these waves through COVID and all of these changes and everything, and a lot of things going on the board. Well, Ed has been the anchor.
Yeah.
He has been the anchor. And the greatest gift that you can give to a minister is to serve the minister and in ways that so Reverend Karen can focus on the ministry of our community while he was focusing on taking care of our spiritual home. So we just want to thank you, Ed, and we love you from the bottom of our heart. And this is a reminder of how much of an anchor you are to our community. So thank you.
It says, Ed, thank you for the generosity of your service. You have anchored us to our future. Praise God. We love your WVCSL family. Wait, you have to say it again.
I can't tell you what an honor it is to serve here under Reverend Clyde and Reverend Karen. But so much of the credit goes to our board members. Will the board members please stand? You guys are amazing. You've helped me through a lot of stuff. I'm just so grateful that you're here to support our center. So God bless you and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hold that up, hold it up. Perfect, thank you.
Great. Good talk. Well, Ed, may the force be with you. So, transitions, new beginnings, and this great force of love that has supported us while we have moved through an interesting period in the history of humanity, and the circumstances of life have grown us. And when we align ourselves to spiritual principles, then we grow toward the light, just the way a plant does. A plant follows the light. And so there's a force in all of creation, a great force. And I love that. Is that Star Wars or Star Trek? Star Wars. And I love the way the younger people are looking towards those stories, the Star Wars and Star Trek and Harry Potter, where there are morals and ethics that are brought about. So they're learning spirituality through mythology. It's almost like we've gone full circle. And that's what it feels like to me as a spiritual community or as people on the planet right now, that we have come full circle. We have returned to the place where we once began, and as the poet said, and we're knowing it for the first time. So we all move through transitions and change, and I wanted to talk today about that force that is a cause for celebration when we recognize the greatness in that, the divine force of life that created all of life. Dr. Ernest Holmes said that the early philosophers referred to the soul as a blind force. And whenever he talked about the soul, he was talking about the creative medium in life, that force inside of us that doesn't know, but that does. So we know that spirit is all the omnis, ever present, all knowing, all everywhere at all times. What's going on this one? And all powerful, and that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the life of force. It's more like a force. Good point. I love the new rod. So it's a spiritual law, and we call it the creative medium. Sometimes Holmes used to call it the holy womb of nature. It's where all creation comes from born from that impulse of love. And so when we talk about there is a power and a presence, and it's a power for good, and you can use it, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that force. So spiritual thinkers and the philosophers he was referring to, and all of the great healers, all of those spiritual thinkers who began to make a connection between our thinking and our ability to heal, they all stood in that philosophy. They wrote about healing as a movement in consciousness. Yeah, so think about that. It's a movement in consciousness. Our thoughts are like a gravitational force. Got something for that? Amen would be good. It almost feels right. Amen is good. Gravity. It's the gravity of all of it. And so what we understand is that in that movement of thinking, that idea that there's an infinite intelligence that created all of life, and as we become aware of it, we become conscious that movement of life is everywhere present, then we can learn to align our lives to it and move in this flow of life that then enhances all of our decisions and our and carries us sweetly through the obstacles and the parts of life that may seem difficult, but are really just a part of what we're doing. We get to practice using the law. In the academic world, which I guess that would qualify you, Tracy, in the academic world, the quantum theorists, just nod if you don't remember, just nod like you use the authority. First rule of ministry, come with a lot of authority. They need it, they want it. So in the quantum theorists would explain it like this. The thoughts that are moving around in your mind, what you're thinking about in your consciousness creates a motion, and there is a vibration of that infinite intelligence that we are going to either be attracted toward or we're going to repel away. And so we want to be aware of what we're thinking so we can align ourselves to that vibration that then moves us to be able to be open to receive the good that we desire in our experience. So being conscious, being really intentional in our thinking stirs that power up inside of us. That's the quickening I talked about a few weeks ago. And in that way, we are participating in directing that force of life in a direction that we choose. I looked up to see how Holmes would define that word force, to see if he even did, and I found it in that little New Thought Dictionary that Ernest Holmes penned. And he said this: as a verb, force means to compel action. So keep in mind that compelling action is not forcing your will on anything or any situation, but it is about being willing to remember that the power that does all the work is greater than we are, and that we don't make it happen, we align to it. We open ourselves to be able to allow it to move and express through us and as us. So I was thinking about, if we are willing to demonstrate a willingness to comply with all of those things, now we are aligned to life for a higher purpose than just getting up in the morning and moving through your day without having set that intention. So think of this. When we say things like, may the force be with you. So I actually don't say that much. It's a whole different topic. But I might say to you, may you go in peace. Right? Think of this sort of the ministerial way that it sounds like it's a blessing. But it's not really. I mean, it's kind of a blessing. But I am not giving you something that's going to enrich your life. I am in that place of inviting you to wake up a little bit and recognize that power is already in you. And so I can't give you that power. I don't have it to give away. I don't disperse that power. What I do is I point the way. That's all I do every Sunday is I stand up here and point the way and hope that every once in a while Reverend Cheryl will go, amen. Amen. Or that Rob will surprise me with one of his new funny lines. And so the thing is, I point the way in the same way that my teachers and my mentors taught me to do, in the same way that their teachers and their mentors taught them, and in the same way that we then take that knowledge and that information and we share it with others. And I just love that idea of that, the way that it grows and the way that it continues, because you see, it doesn't end. It doesn't end. I still have teachers and mentors that I look up to. This is a really important thing for you to be thinking about. That you have to have people in your life that are there to point the way for you. And people in your life that will say things in a different way so you can hear it. That, you hear me all the time. You need to hear it in a different way sometimes. So there is a force for good. There is a force for good, men. We say that almost every weekend here. And it's right in front of you. But more than that, it's right in you. Just like in the same way you can't see your liver or your kidneys or your heart working, they are in there and they are working. And that is the force that you always have with you. Thank you. Yay God. It's not about blessing as much as it is about reminding each other which way to look, to remember those eternal truths, to remain awake and aware. And when you get boxed in a corner somehow, or you've made a decision and you're kind of looking like, well, why did I do that? You can always return to love. And so it should be a reminder, just return to love. No matter what's happened, just return to love again. And here's the reason for that. The minute you turn toward love, love just is right there, right? You stir it up so that you can't help but notice. The instant you turn toward love, the moment you turn toward God in any way, the grace of God rushes into your life and you become aware of it, that it could be in no way limited or missing. So this is an important message today. This is what you want to take with you when you leave and you think about it this week. A single movement in consciousness, a single tiny change of thought that you have activates some kind of crazy inner force that is for you, that is waiting for you to call on it, and that is ready to go the moment you name it. I think the people that we have acknowledged this morning have discovered that transformative power that we're talking about. These are people that have all studied it, named it, used it, practiced it, and each of those people has experienced tremendous, profound change in their personal lives and have contributed something to this community that we would not have had they not. And so when I wrote that, because I write my talk pretty thoroughly, when I wrote that, I thought, oh my gosh, and the greatest gift of all is that none of those people are done saying yes yet. Right? There's no being done saying yes. And so we look forward to seeing how you all say yes in the future. But I wanted to add this. Success, when it's defined by something we've accomplished, is only part of the story. We have an idea what success should look like. And when we do, we sort of miss the point. There's a fabulous quote that says this: success isn't measured by the position you reach, but by the obstacles you overcome. Never forget that. Success isn't measured by the position you reach, but by the obstacles you overcome. And overcoming obstacles is an ongoing process of life. And the thing is, we in the West have made a mistake. We think obstacles are bad. And in the East, the Hindu people worship Ganesh. And you know what Ganesh does? Ganesh removes obstacles. But what the people in the West don't understand, we buy all the little elephants to wear around our neck because it's like we want all the obstacles removed. But in the East, they wear Ganesh to bring the obstacles because they're willing to grow. Yeah. So, we have some celebrating to do. Miss Fish, would you join me up here for a moment? Let's do some celebrating. Would you, I am getting ready to acknowledge Tracy for her accomplishment with many obstacles, as I recall. Am I wrong, or are there still a few obstacles along the way? That's how we grow. We got it. And so I asked Fish if I wanted to surprise Tracy, but the thing is, Fish and Tracy, are you scared?
No.
Fish and Tracy are really good friends, but the reason I called on Fish is because they're not only both practitioners, but they studied together. And so in those early classes, here in my office, in those early days, sometimes they would be in the same class together, and that was where they grew to love each other. And we really get to know each other personally. So I thought, no better person than to call on but you.
All right, I will try to speak into this so everyone can hear me.
Yes.
So I have been Tracy's friend and confidant for many years now, and I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm going to get through this. Thank you, Travis. All right, and have been privileged to witness her growth and to grow along with her on the path. I wish to celebrate her today for the amount of time, tears, love, and effort she has put into this journey to arrive at this juncture. I have witnessed her growth from practitioner to minister. I first met her in practitioner training and recognized the force within her just dying to get out. No idea the title. No idea the title.
That's right.
She has always been a fierce and powerful force in her desire to find the truth, then to feel it, and then to experientially understand it, and then to speak it. Powerful because so much of that journey has led her back to herself. As these journeys do, she raged and flowed and had the power to truly take responsibility by feeling all of it, and then doing the work to find out why. I have witnessed the chaos of her being smooth and softened, witnessed her quick and lively mind become focused and profoundly tuned into questioning all of her perceptions, not speaking until she gets an answer. I have seen the difference in her life, in her own love of herself, capital S and small s, her understanding of her position in her family and the family of all humanity. She on many occasions gave me a permission slip to rage myself, to say or do what I really wanted to do. She vehemently said to me once, "All I want, Fish, all I want is the truth, because I can always work with the truth." When we are speaking in truth, it allows in compassion and forgiveness, and in this our work can be done. Our friendship is rather fearless at this point, and I'm so very grateful for the rocky but ever-loving road we have walked together. I cannot express the amount of respect I have for her integrity, her compassion, and her clarity. She is still a fierce and powerful force, but now it is for calm and for truth in a raging world around her. Anyone who has entered into a soul conversation with her knows what I am talking about.
Amen.
Yeah. And I, for one, am on the edge of my seat with curiosity and wonder about her ministry. I don't believe her ministry will be solely on the pulpit. I believe her ministry will be the conversation of everyday life. She really only speaks from that place, and you cannot help but be seen and heard and cherished in her presence. I am beyond proud, and I look forward to witnessing what happens next. Congratulations on taking the road less traveled, completing your ministry training, and we are all the better for you having done so.
Miss Tracy, just kind of come on up here, don't sit down. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you, Fish. That was beautiful. Fish is an artist and a poet and an exquisite writer. Thank you. I did good asking you. That's great.
And I got the secret, which is hard to do.
Oh, she got the secret. So Tracy, I'm going to be chatting with you a minute, and you're going to use the mic. And I thought it would be fun if we, by the way, I think Mark posted yesterday a photo of you and Beverly Strutt at your graduation, which, by the way, was when we honored Reverend Clyde for passing his oral panel when he got the Rev, R.E.V.
Yeah.
And that was dated, the photo was dated yesterday or today's date.
Today's date.
Today's date? It was like 5 years ago exactly. That is so cool. I don't think we did it on that date, but that was so cool to see that the synchronicities have been beautiful to enjoy. And also, by the way, both of those women went to ministerial school, and Beverly Strutt is now leading a church in Hawaii on the Big Island.
I want that gig.
So I just want to give you some time so they can hear your voice, and I have a couple questions for you. Are you game?
I'm game.
All right. So first of all, how did you know you were going to ministerial school? Was there a way you got the call? Did you what? Tell me your process in that, or tell them.
Well, the joke in ministerial school, because the first class that I had, they said they asked the same question, and I said I was on the DNC, the do not call list. So nobody called me. But as I have learned, as I've processed this through many mentors and many classes, is that I heard a teacher, her name is Gita Saradarian, say, once the sun shines on your face, it never lets you go, and you never stop seeking the sun. So I will tell you, I had no idea, and have watched you and many other ministers and said, no, that's not how I do. I do not want that. I probably even said that yesterday. Because it's so much responsibility. But a long time ago in my Ohio, I was sitting next to a beautiful minister named Reverend Nadine, and she said, it was my first, maybe 4 months into Science of Mind, and she said, what do you want to do? And I said, what you do. And then I sat and thought, why did you say that? Like, stop trying to impress people. And but it was an acknowledgement of something that I did not know at the time. I did not know that was why I ended up at Mile High. I didn't know that's why I went. I really didn't know, but my soul knew. And it unfolded slowly until, and God knows me well. Beverly called and said, I'm going to ministerial school. And I said, oh, hell no, you can't go without me. And so I talked to Reverend Karen, she's like, a little bit longer. And then I was really mad at her for a long time. And we have since made up. But my peer going spurned me. I was like, you can't do that without me. You can't be a minister without me. And what I recognize is that whatever your tendencies are in life, God, the universe, they will use them to propel you forward if you're doing the work.
Amen.
So my competitive nature spawned me to take a step in the right direction. And the sun that I seek, can you imagine like letting the sun shine on your face and then not ever wanting that again? So, and then just by watching you and Reverend Cheryl and Sue and Reverend Clyde and the inspirations, Reverend Noli, I'm so grateful you're here today. And just those moments of I can do that, and my family, and you know. So anyway, I promised you I wouldn't do a talk, so
I think it would be appropriate if we would give you the opportunity to have the dawning of the stole with your parents involved. So could we call forward your mom and dad? Let's go down here where it'll be a little easier for them. And this is the stole that Tracy received at graduation.
There you go. That's okay.
Sorry. So there's a significance. I need to peek at my notes so I don't remember. The significance of the stole is that she is still listening now. This is because the stole is a symbol of service to your community, and they say that this is a yoke of service, and it's a symbol of your commitment to the sacred. And so I'm going to pass it to your mom and dad, and if you would unroll it, open it, and then put it around her neck.
And I'll step in front. Oh. You are definitely with her. There you go. This is where I get the attention.
Nice.
I'll take this off.
Thank you. Thank you, mom and dad. Thank you. That was wonderful. Would you come back up on the platform with me, please, Miss Tracy?
Hey, everybody.
There's also a part of the ceremony that they were unable to participate in, again, because of COVID. And they were, each of the students that graduated, how many were in your class? 14 new ministers from the San Diego campus. Dr. Reverend Kathy Hearn gifted each of the students with this oil. And remind me again what the oil is.
It is an ancient biblical oil handmade by one of her friends that makes these for special ceremonies, such as the one that we're having today in San Diego.
All right, so I've been asked to, do you know how to get the stopper out better than me? I don't want to break it. So, according to the biblical recipe, we have some sacred blessed oil here, and my beautiful friend Tracy, I am going to anoint you now. Blessing your forehead, so that your thoughts might always be wholesome and mindful, and be that consciousness that is aware of that great force that's already within you. And further, I bless you, your beautiful lips, so that you might speak words of beauty and truth. And lastly, I bless your heart, my dear friends, knowing that your heart is that sacred space where the impulse of love blossoms. May you move through ministry with the fullest of love, and may people be blessed as I have been blessed to experience your love. And so it is. And, why don't you sit in the minister's chair for a moment? What an honor. And so I want to close this morning with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. We all love Emerson in different ways, but what great words this poet and philosopher and spiritual thinker left for us. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this, listen carefully, my dear. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics, to endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, and to leave the world a little bit better. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. And now I'm going to do something very unusual. I'm going to ask Tracy to lead us in a healing prayer.
No pressure. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. Okay. I just know right here, right now, that there is only one. There is only one power, one presence, one love, one force. And because I know that force within myself, I know it for all people and all kingdoms. I know that the understanding that the true self is the seeking of the sun shining on our face. That we know when we embody this sun, this seeking, this truth, that it transforms and transcends all of our limitations. Anything unlike itself is dissipated, resolved, and gone. Whether it be health, money, finances, work, that there is a faith that bestows a seed that ensures that you recognize the peace that dwelleth within, the peace that passes all understanding. It is yours. It is here. It is now. Stop seeking and start knowing. Step into that greater yet to be, that place that births the first star, the cosmos, the heartbeat of life. It unfolds ever presently. It unfolds as truth, as love, as life, as wisdom. And it is your wisdom. It is my wisdom. It is the wisdom of the ages, and it is not held in a cave anymore. It is out in the open. It is here. It is now. And all you have to do is say yes. And it says yes back. And the beauty that unfolds is the treasures that God has gifted to you for. It is the kingdom, the keys, the yes. It is all here. It is all now, and it is all present. Step into it knowing with full resolve, with confidence and faith, that every desire, every dream, everything made manifest is because you believed it. And I recognize these words for myself and for every person here, every person in the street, every person thought of and here, now unknown and known, that God is the ever-present life and love, and that these words resound within us and vibrate out to all that we meet, all that we know. And I am so grateful for you, your families, your friends, and I release this into the law, knowing it cannot be returned void, knowing that it is the gift of the ages, knowing that it is landed right where it needs to be for your better unfoldment today. And so it is.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every place I see is love reflecting, shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, with joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right. You know what's really exciting is Karen did all this in the right amount of time. Oh. I'm like, wow, and thank you, Tracy. Congratulations. And I'm sad that we had to postpone it, but I'm really glad that we did because I got to be here and be part of it, and I really feel it. So thank you. Thank you. So anyway, so now is the time. Before we do our time of celebrating the abundance, just a couple of quick announcements. One is that we're not passing around the offering plate still. We're moving into that. But the reason why I bring that up is because we're going to need volunteers. So I'm going to start recruiting. Just let you guys know, I've been checking everybody out. So we get some volunteer positions that we need to get filled, and one of them is so we can start passing the offering plate again. So hopefully that'd be something that you'd be interested in doing. So anyways, just wanted to plant that seed. But anyway, so now is the time to celebrate the abundance of our spiritual community, as well as each and everybody's individual abundance of their life. And so we're not passing the offering plate. We have the black boxes in the back of the room, and also one in in the bookstore area, where you can grab a envelope and put your money in the envelope and drop it in that box there, and then we'll collect it that way. But so let's say our joyous giving affirmation together. It's up on the slide here. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Please stand for our last song.
Celebrating, sharing this experience, and letting us have a sense of community again. Reverend, awesome job. There is food and celebration in Pappy Hall this morning in honor of Tracy Herrick. Thank you so much. So join us over there if you care to, and have a blessed week. Remember, pray often, love much. See you again.